On Sunday morning in Kaduna State, Nigeria, over 100 church worshippers were violently abducted by armed bandits during their regular service, an attack that has sparked intense controversy not just because of the brutality involved, but because of who some observers are linking to these criminal gangs. The raid targeted two churches in Kurmin Wali in the Kajuru local government area, with the Evangelical Church winning all and the Cherubim and Seraphim Church too becoming scenes of terror when heavily armed men stormed in around 11:25 in the morning and forcibly marched congregants away at gunpoint. According to Reverend John Hayab, 172 people were initially taken captive, though 9 managed to escape, leaving 163 still in the hands of these criminals. About 10 vulnerable individuals, possibly elderly or those with medical conditions, were reportedly released by the attackers, though the reasons remain unclear. What makes this particular incident even more controversial is the language being used by international observers to describe these attacks. Deacon Nick Donnelly, a vocal advocate for persecuted Christians, posted on social media platform X that this kidnapping was carried out by what he calls Gumi Warriors, referring to the bandits as cowards for attacking unarmed civilians, while alleging that there are no security forces in Nigeria for Christians, and that in fact the security forces are more likely to assist the criminals than protect the victims. This explosive claim references Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, a controversial Islamic cleric in Nigeria who has become one of the most polarizing figures in the country's ongoing security crisis. To understand why Deacon Donnelly and many others are using the term Gumi Warriors, we need to look at who Sheikh Ahmad Gumi is and why his name has become synonymous with Nigeria's banditry crisis. Sheikh Gumi is a prominent Islamic cleric based in northern Nigeria who served as a medical doctor in the Nigerian Army Medical Corps before retiring as a captain and becoming a religious leader. Over the past several years, Gumi has made himself the most vocal advocate for dialogue and negotiation with the very bandits who have been terrorizing northern Nigeria, kidnapping thousands, killing hundreds, and displacing entire communities. He has personally visited bandit hideouts, often accompanied by security personnel and government officials, claiming his mission is humanitarian and aimed at reducing violence through peace talks rather than military action. The problem that has made Gumi so controversial is not just his advocacy for dialogue, but the language he uses when talking about these criminals. Gumi has repeatedly referred to bandits hiding in the forests as our brothers and has argued that society cannot do without them. He has described them as victims rather than criminals, claiming they are engaged in an existential war because their traditional livelihood of cattle rearing is under threat. He has called for amnesty programs similar to what was done in the Niger Delta, arguing that many bandits are drawn into crime because of neglect, poverty, and lack of opportunity. In one particularly shocking statement, Gumi said that kidnapping school children is a lesser evil compared to killing soldiers, comments that have led to widespread calls for his arrest. Now you can see why when over 100 Christians are kidnapped from their churches in Kaduna, people like Deacon Donnelly are calling these attackers Gumi Warriors. The term reflects the deep frustration and anger many Nigerians, particularly Christians in the Middle Belt and northern regions, feel about what they perceive as Gumi's role in legitimizing, defending, and even enabling these criminal gangs. Critics argue that by constantly advocating for these bandits, calling them brothers, pushing for amnesty, and opposing military action against them, Gumi is providing them with moral cover and emboldening them to continue their reign of terror. If you are finding this report informative and want to stay updated on critical developments across Nigeria, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Your engagement helps us bring you more in-depth coverage of the stories that matter most to you. The controversy around Sheikh Gumi has reached such heights that false reports of his arrest by the International Criminal Court went viral on social media, with many Nigerians celebrating what they thought was finally justice being served. The reports were quickly debunked as Gumi remains active and free, continuing to defend his position. In recent interviews, Gumi has insisted he has had no contact with bandits since 2021, when the federal government officially designated them as terrorists, though he continues to advocate loudly against military action and in favor of negotiation. He argues that modern armies cannot defeat guerrilla fighters and points to examples like the Taliban in Afghanistan to support his position that dialogue is the only solution. The use of the term Gumi's Warriors might seem harsh or controversial to some, but it captures the frustration of communities who feel abandoned and betrayed. When a prominent religious figure repeatedly defends those who are destroying your community, killing your neighbors, kidnapping your children, and raiding your churches, when he calls them brothers and argues against any meaningful action to stop them, is it no wonder that victims would associate his name with the criminals themselves? Whether Gumi intends it, whether his motivations are truly humanitarian as he claims, the practical effect of his advocacy has been to provide these criminal gangs with legitimacy and to undermine efforts to defeat them militarily. As this story continues to develop, we will keep bringing you updates on the rescue efforts and the condition of the hostages. Our thoughts remain with the families of those taken and all the communities living under the shadow of this ongoing violence.